we spend most of our time at the office, so it is only fair to enjoy your surroundings. This week, we take in an office which sets the benchmark for the coolest place you could possibly hope to work in. It's the Joburg HQ of a company whose name is synonymous with finding exactly what you're looking for.
Many of us spend a lot of time in our offices from Monday to Friday, and there's no doubt that having a cool, comfortable, friendly working environment increases productivity, and the Google SA offices are no exception to this. In fact, these offices take cool to a whole new level.
The thinking here is that this is such a stimulating space that even in your downtime, it's where you'd prefer to be. Overseeing communications and relationships with the public, Google South Africa's Mitch Atanga gets the value of what the space says about the company.
Now, Mitch, I must admit, from the outside, this looks like any other ordinary office block, but that's not the case. I realized that when I stepped in here. But what is it about Google that makes working here so pleasurable?
Well, I think, aside from being an incredible company that does really amazing things, I get to work with a lot of really amazing and diverse people, so a lot of different ideas from around the world, and that's really, really amazing. So I love that. That's one of my favorite things about working at Google.
And this area in itself looks very attractive. Can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so this is our reception area. So when people come into the office, this is the first impression of Google that they get, and this is the waiting area, so before whoever you're meeting comes to fetch you. And one of the things I think I quite love about it, aside from the fact that you can see what South Africans are searching for right there on the screen right now, but the wall itself is made of magazines, and all those magazines are South African titles.
So, Mitch, what makes this office space so unique to Google?
So aside from the fact that it's a green space, which means it's energy efficient, so our lights turn off when people are not around, and the air cons are efficient managed, and that's really important to Google. But more importantly, it's also a tribute to the city of Johannesburg. I call it a love letter to Jersey, right? So look here, you've got this big graffiti Google sign, which is painted by a real-life graffiti artist, and you've got the map pin that is exactly where we are right now. So if you put that in Google Maps, it'll bring you to this location. But when you go into the office, you'll see it looks at the iconic buildings, their street names on the side, and the meeting rooms are named after very interesting South Africanism. So for sure, Expresso, Braji, so those kind of things. It's a real storytelling of Johannesburg and South Africa and the South African culture, but for international folk, it's a way for them to learn about the country and take more than just meetings and, you know, their jobs away with them, but also a piece of South Africa with them.
Local pride is a big emphasis, and Daniel Acton is all for his hometown.
Dan, how you doing, man?
How's it, man?
I'm very good.
Take a seat.
All right. I must admit, these are very interesting chairs, and I hear that there's a story behind them and this particular section of the building, actually. Can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Cool, yeah. So, I mean, we created this building and this wonderful, interesting design about 2 years ago when we moved in. And, you know, Google has this idea that we should exist in the city we're in. You know, we should put roots and we should really invoke the city we're in. So this, you know, this is supposed to be gold bars. They're not really gold bars. They're just painted like that. And the things we're sitting in, these seats, are supposed to be the mine carts that people would carry about. So, you know, we've named this as this pause area Igoli, you know, City of Gold, so that, you know, it refers back to Johannesburg. We have a lot of international visitors that come to our offices from other offices around the world, and it's a story we like to tell. That's our history. That's how Joburg started.
Luke McKent has a personal connection to this space.
Luke, the book nook is one of your favorite spaces in the building. Tell me why.
Well, books have always been a big part of my life. Despite the fact that I work for a technology company, I actually prefer the feel of a book compared to, you know, even a Kindle or anything more electronic. In fact, we spend so much time in front of a screen. I way prefer reading real physical pages. And in fact, when I was growing up, one of my favorite treats when we were living in Fischhoek was for my mother to drive me to Cape Town and to go and visit the second-hand bookshops that all populated along Long Street. Now there's lots of restaurants, all of those bookshops have unfortunately evaporated. So it's fantastic to have something in the office here that kind of reminds me of all of those youthful days browsing those bookshops.
Surroundings set the tone for a meeting of minds. Kerry Prisman knows that better than most.
Meeting rooms at Google are quite a commodity, and it becomes incredibly competitive when you're trying to book an urgent meeting. So Google really thought about this and created these cubicles that allow you to have that last-minute meeting or that urgent call with your client.
Choice and the chance to experience something new. That's the feel of this Delhi meets coffee shop meets designer bistro. But for Asha Patel, it is something unexpected which takes the cake.
For any mom that is returning to work, it's quite a daunting task getting back to the office. And that's made easier by this particular room, the mother's room that we're in right now. This room is fully equipped. It comes with everything that you could possibly need, from the feeding chair, the fridge, the equipment. And as you can see, each of these toys are quite unique and quite representative of the staff complement that work here.
What I really like a lot about this building is how they put a lot of effort in making sure that I feel included. And it feels very diverse, and it also feels very inclusive. And that's very important to me.
What a great place to hang out. That you get to work here too seems a bonus.
Offices are definitely not what they used to be before. Gone are the days of boring boardrooms and dull office furniture. As you've seen from the building behind me, it's all about creating a stimulating, inspiring working environment.